Okay, first things first, don't panic. Let's just do something here and get rid of all these scary trigger zones. One sec. And toggle. Okay, cool. Not so bad. Today is a showcase of my road-based mission. It's complicated, but as you play it, it shouldn't be too bad. So what I'm going to do today is take off from various bases and use various modules to give you an idea of how this thing works so you can get the most fun you can out of it. Yeah, basically the premise of this mission is that we've lost the war. In the opening seconds of the game, the Su-17s, with their beautiful AI model, are going to rock in and bomb all of these air bases, all the main ones you'd normally use. If you want to fly for runway, you can fly from Batumi or Tbilisi. Actually, you can't fly from Tbilisi, just Batumi. Instead, we have road bases. Dallas, Perth, Dublin, London, and Paris. They're all a little different, all a bit tricky in different ways. But yeah, targets are in the Abkhazia region, across the river here. So when you start the mission, these strikers will come in, bomb the runways, and then once they clear the skies, you're pretty much clear just to do some flying around and practice. But you can then trigger the main mission to run, which will spawn lots of these tank groups in the north that will attack. And you'll get target information and have to engage them. So anyway, enough chit-chat, enough gazing. Let's fly. So I am really proud of this mission. It took a fair bit of work to get it up and happening, and yeah, I want you guys to have fun with it. Where to start first? Let's start at Dallas, which is right in downtown Zugdidi. So as you can see, the first thing to look at, again, it's all a bit higgledy-piggledy here. I wish you could sort by these, but basically this is where you want to be. Each of the road bases has a name, so Dallas is the closest one. It's the one that gets taken over pretty quickly, but it is one of the easiest ones to fly out of because the road's nice and long. Let's start with the... we'll start with the Viggen because it's my favourite, and there's a little bit more to do with the Viggen. And then we'll do the Harrier. Okay. So we start here on a nice, clear day. Windsock shows, good bit of wind. And if we check the F10, oh, actually, we're about to get buzzed. See if we can spot them. There they are. Give it a second. Should be a pair of Su-17s. There they are. Anyway, I've dropped the in-game volume down so you can hear me properly. Let's start our normal startup and get that up and happening. Again, it's not much more than turning a key, but you'd expect that from Saab. On the seat, drop the canopy. So naturally, if you're flying from road bases, you should be flying the Viggen, as it was designed to do just this. Though of course, all different jets are in the mission for you to try. Let's see what we get. Wait for the computer to wake up, which it's about to. I'll just silence this for a moment. It silences the RWR. Any second now, we should get little lights. Aha, good. Alright, so normally, as you'd normally do, 9099, that loads the data cartridge in the flight plan, but we have an extra step. Now, if you notice here, we aren't at Sanaki or at one of the main bases, so the game doesn't actually know, or more accurately, the Viggen doesn't know where it is, and it's important for the jets to know where it's starting from. So, briefing, open it up, scroll down a bit, these are the road bases. This will give you the TACAN, the frequency, which at the moment does not work, so I'll probably wipe that soon, the landing heading, and this here is only for the Viggen, the reference number. We have to enter this in to say where we are. So we're starting from Dallas, so we're going to enter in 9028 into Ref Lola. Hang on. There we go. So now the jet should know where it is. If you fail to do this step, you'll probably get a navsys error, because the jet doesn't know its starting location. Alright. Just warmed up. Get the HUD. Put ourselves in nav mode. Now, if we're feeling cheeky, we can just take off from here, but I want to scroll us forward a little bit longer. So the way this works is your flight plan, if I can pull it up, shows waypoints as seen here. That made no sense at all. But basically, the waypoints themselves are fixed at the touchdown point for these road bases. So a quick bit of road base anatomy, making it sound much more exciting than it is. So we'll park here by the watchtower and the windsock. Okay, so here we are in our Viggen. This is the road base. These areas back here are the rearming point, right? If you park near the people and the rearming sort of stations, the fuel and power stations and stuff, you can rearm. This is what you'll see on landing. I'm running it on absolute potato settings at the moment, so my apologies. These two white shipping containers will show the touchdown point. That's where your waypoints 1, 2, 3, and 4 will be. Look a bit closer, you can probably see there. Can I get a bit closer or not really? No. On the left, you've got a portable TACAN that will guide you in pretty nicely. Just put in the heading and you can land any F-16s, Hornets, A-10s. That's how they can find the road base really easily. And F-5s, for example, which don't have waypoints. To the right, we've got a flare launcher that launches landing flares to kind of guide you in. But I'll show you that in a sec. But waypoint 1, for example, is exactly at that point. So what we can do on takeoff is put ourselves in that mode. I'm getting a B0 warning here. I'm just going to type that in again and see if it clears. Yes, watch for that. B0 means I have no idea where I am, help me, help me. LS means, yep, I'm all good, bro. And take off, plenty of power, using tiny brake corrections for lineup, not using the rudders because it's a bit strong for the road base. Watching our Q down here for takeoff, and trying to arrest the AOA. We could fix here, for example, and that would give us a nice clear location to start off with, a good fix to make sure navigation is good. Particularly if I had to go lobbing, say, BK-90s at a target, you want that fix to be as accurate as possible. As always in the Viggen, make sure we're pulling a good 500 Ks at least before we start manoeuvring. And I think we're going to go hit a bridge. So just a nice simple target to strike, and then we'll come back. Now, normally I'd be entering coordinates in here, so we could go... Actually, we'll just do that quickly. Put ourselves in autopilot hold, come out of the burner, and we can do it from the map here by feel. So we want, for this map here, we want this bridge here. We're going to go reading the latitude, sorry, the longitude first, so Lola, so 415103 423 Does that look about right? I don't think it does actually, so I'm going to try again. Make sure I get this correct. 415103 423 Interesting. I'm going to say it looks fine. I'll use the BX points because they seem to be happier. Okay, let's try BX1. Yeah, see, that's way off. Maybe I've got to reset my keys. I'll watch myself type it in this time. So 415104. Cool. That's it. Now 423457. That's much healthier. So now we should have a targeting queue on that bridge, which actually is right there. So we'll just compare that. Put ourselves in attack mode. That gives us our aiming symbology already set for attack mode. So this isn't really a rocket tutorial, so it's not quite what I'm showing here. This is going to be a real rough and dirty attack, but as you can see, the Viggen, you can quickly add coordinates in if you know what you're doing to line up for an attack. There's our bridge. We're going to not break away. You can see the prettiness. Excellent. Now, there are air defences all over Gali, and there are man pads. Now, due to people not liking having to deal with man pads... Oh, some bullets coming too. I will show you quickly what you can do to get rid of them. So, open up the... Shush him for a sec, because what's the worst they could really be coming towards us? Alright, F10 menu. You can disable man pads, but the game will pick on you for that, if you've seen Letterkenny, for the reference. And you can also reduce... Well, so these will actually spawn different air-to-air types, so easy is like MiG-19, medium is MiG-23, hard is MiG-29, and so forth, with bombers that will try and strike the bases as you use them. This I'm about to show you too, the road-based landing system. And you can disable the big SAMs like SA2, SA3. And this one here, in all caps, starts the ground mission. If you're playing with friends, that's going to cause a pretty large lag spike. It shouldn't for us because, you know, we're flying single player. But that's spawned in... look at the holes we put in that bridge, beautiful. That's spawned in these convoys and things, so that's a good way to get the mission heating up. And as you see, we'll get coordinates being sent to us as we fly. What we're going to do instead, though, is fly to waypoint 2. That's going to take us roughly towards the next road base, Dublin. Now, we could just land at waypoint 2. We can even go to attack mode and get a circle to guide us in. If we adjust the QFE, we can, to the correct value, we can actually get... interesting. Yeah, we can get that right where we want it, and you can land off that. But in truth, the best way to do it is to pull up the... Where are we? These guys here, the air bases. I'm going to right shift page up and look for our road bases. Okay, so this is a list of all the road bases and their reference codes. Actually, this was already in the briefing, but just a good way to find it too. Notice that there are two. There's the start position and then there's the landing position. Make sure you're entering this code in for landing at a road base. And this will give you full TILs guidance, so you could land non-visually. Coming back a notch. So what we do, easy enough, we go... Make sure you're already in just normal nav mode and you're just flying your waypoints. Don't try and do this when you're already trying to land. Input 9029er. That will give us El Mal. So we set that as our landing point. Select El Mal to land there. Similar location because it's the same point. And then go landing nav. So imagine it was the middle of the night and we couldn't see. We could fly, as you've seen in other tutorials, you fly that loop, come on in, and you get guidance to the ground. Now, you remember from TIL's tutorials you've already watched that the guidance for TILs kind of takes you in this arc coming into the road base. That's not great, actually, for lineup. The trickiest thing for landing on a road base is making sure your alignment is good enough. If you're off by a certain amount of angles, you're going to have a really bad time. Also, if you fly at the prescribed altitude, you can have troubles with these hills. So... we'll do a flip-flop so we can land a bit sooner and follow our cues as normal. So we're a bit fast. And it's telling us to descend, but in the briefing it says, don't descend so rapidly because, well, we don't want to smack into hills and whatnot. We'll do a brief time accelerate here. No, we won't because the frames get too high. Yeah, look, for brevity, I'm going to just put us down. Let's just add a bit of power. Now, I'll activate the road-based landing system. Ignore this for the moment, we're going to focus on landing. So RVLS on. Cool. So we will get flares guiding us in. They're roughly the same colours as the ones that line you up for carrier landing. So, assuming our INS is good, we're going to use this cue to land by. Alright, chopping our throttle. And we'll get the gear down because we're actually not that far from the touchdown point. Alright. Now we should pick up the TILs soon. We haven't got any indication on our panel down here yet, but we will soon. Just ordering a descent, which we'll do. Come left. So that's Dublin saying come left. We're getting some TILs information, so we can start following the guidance lines on our HUD and ADI. Adding plenty of thrust. Remember, we're becoming a massive drag net now. Okay, so there's our flare just there. I'm not sure if you can see it with YouTube compression, but it's saying 3 miles, and we're being told to continue to come left, so we haven't been told to stop coming left. on the money. That says you're good alignment, just like in Ace Combat 4. I've got got the wrong QFE set for this area, but that's okay. Arming the reverser. So we're landing here at Dublin. This is probably the most useful field because it's far enough away that it doesn't really get hit that often, but also fairly close. Particularly in slower aircraft, I find that Dublin's a good compromise. Alright, now on touchdown, the most important thing is alignment. It's no good. I'll just clear the HUD for a second. It's no good if you come in. Yeah, we're a bit high anyway, so we'll just ease it into position. That's much healthier. Yeah. Okay. Alignment first, then worry about braking. And in the Viggen, you basically shouldn't touch the brakes besides alignment. You would just use the reverser. Okay. Reverser on. And she'll stop just nicely for us. That was a bit of a rough landing, actually. I'm not completely happy with that. You can damage your landing gear in the Viggen, and we'll see if I've done it. Looks okay this time. Okay, we're going to set ourselves to nav. And then to rearm and refuel, I'll just show you where you do that. So, one quick thing, these trees make doing a go around, you need to decide early. So decide before you land, I guess. For Hornet drivers, you should be landing below 2,000 pounds of fuel and as slow as you can. Aim for the top of the E bracket and you should be alright. But yeah, Hornets aren't great. Until we get the Finnish arresting hook system, then we're going to have a bad time. So yeah, see the people around here? This is where we're going to rearm and refuel. And let's say we've done that, we've rearmed, we've refueled, probably with half fuel and no drop tanks because, you know, it's short wraparound missions. The way to turn around, because there's no looping road here unfortunately, is the reverser goes on, you hit the opposite brake, add the power, and pop. Takes a bit of practice. Basically you just hold the brake and use the thrust to regulate your speed of rotation. So if you're playing with friends, of course, coordinating and making sure that you're not going to be in someone's way is really important. So that's the Viggen. There's a lot more, of course, but that's probably a good place to start. Let's switch to a Harrier over at the next base, London. So scrolling for London, AV8B. I'll take this one here. So London is by far the prettiest base, but it is also the deadliest. People die flying from London. The red base, not the actual city so much. When the game decides to load. London is placed inside mountains, essentially, well, sort of within a valley, within a basin around here. On landing, recommend you do like a loop. I'll show you. It's easier to show you than anything else. I'll just get the thing started up quickly. It shouldn't take too long. And decks, power. There's the canopy because it's going to get super loud skis. Watch the RPM. Let's run it back a notch. Run a bit of power, pass the detent. And go here. Alright, so the Harrier is probably the easiest thing. Oh no, I left the chocks on. I think we can remove them now with the engine running.
Chief, remove the wheel chocks. Copy. Wheel chocks are now removed.
I know, realism, but data, aircraft, and as always, you pull up this, and we... Oh dear. Have I powered that up yet? Probably not. Okay. Aircraft pause. Northing. It was correct to begin with, so maybe I'm just double handling. I do have stored heading set as an option in this, so the MVARs, yeah, it's already set. Okay. Cool. I will do a brief and aggressive time accelerate to get us done with this. really need to get a new computer for this. I'm really pushing the limit with my current rig. As you can see, we're getting sent coordinates for artillery targets. So what's happening is we're being essentially shelled. If we go back to here and have a look at the spot, you can hear the artillery, our own firing off, and shells landing. What tends to happen too is armoured units come in, and like, you know, you might drop a few bridges, but they'll find a way across either way. This group here normally comes up over here and swamps these defences, but by taking out this bridge, we've delayed them. But they'll take this road base, and in any case, you'll spawn fighters later on that will come in and strike these bases, sort of push you back. This is a war that you're trying to slow the losing of, rather than decidedly win. Maybe I'm a pessimist and you can do it. Let's just run the gain so I can read the display. Yeah, quick hint, I find doing that is the best way to make this readable with the map, is just dropping the gain right down. Let's get this all sorted. I do really like how the Viggen is just so fast on takeoff, but, you know, the Harrier is certainly more precise. And IFA. Alright, what I will do is essentially do a quick run, take off, dump, and then I'll dump weapons, and then I'll come back and land. Now, the reason I'm showing you this base as well is because this is where people really get stuck. Oh yes, don't mind me. And that go there. Cool. We can now move. So this base is probably the trickiest to use for a couple of reasons. If you're flying a Hornet or Tomcat, recommend putting wings back or up, as the case may be, just that it's a little bit tight with one of the houses around this corner. But the real trick is when you see the runway. Wind direction is behind us. You'll notice that for this mission, I've set the wind to be roughly... it helps you more on landing. Landing is harder than taking off, I find, so yeah, you get a bit of help on landing. But it's not quite correct. There'll be a bit of a crosswind to deal with. It certainly was when we landed at Dublin, and there will be here as well, I would imagine. So this looks like the start of the road base. If you power up here and try and take off, yeah, you've got more base to work with, but can you see that hill? It's like a hill here. If you start accelerating back there, chances are you're going to pop over and then crunch back down on this hill. You won't have enough speed to get airborne, you'll have enough to get in the air and then crunch down and sort of damage your gear or drop a wing, so then you get a bad time. So I recommend we go from here. Actually, we should be right for this wind. Socket shows that we've got wind in the perfect direction. Alright, always use water for takeoffs on road bases. Just give yourself the extra thrust. Flaps to STO. Confirm they're in the right setting. Yes, they are. Alright, brakes on full power. And release. Alright, we've got a fairly light load out here, so we should be okay. Rotating nozzles here. And yeah, the Harrier just loves road bases. Yeah, ignore that warning for the moment. I'm just gently routing nozzles forward and getting power below max threshold. Okay. That is really annoying. Alright, powering off and disabling the water. And we're airborne. I'm going to just kill that altitude warning. It's going to be a nuisance. Just going to switch to rockets and mouse to arm. I know we're flying over Georgia, but I reckon I can see koalas down there. Sorry about that. It's a bit of a bleak joke. I've just lost all of my Australian watches. Alright, let's just add a bit more thrust and get around the corner. Just a quick note, don't carry huge payloads if you can help it. Leave fuel tanks behind, it's just not worth it. Do short, sharp missions and you'll have way more fun with this mission. Alright, so we'll get the dumps on, and they'll dump down to our landing weight. So of course in the Harrier you could just do a vertical landing. You could be like, yep, I'm all good, I'll just do a vertical landing and call it there. So I've just switched waypoint to waypoint 3, and that is exactly on the landing point. Now if you notice in the briefing, the heading we've been given is true heading, not magnetic. So we want to go data, hold on, just give me a second here, map, that's right, it's in map, and we want to go true heading, and then the headings we add in the course lines will be correct. That's true for the Hornet as well, they default to magnetic, I believe. Just make sure you're in true. So for this base, we're landing at London, we want 224. Cool. Looks about right too. Now I wouldn't attempt this base at night, but that's sort of the idea here, is that you could navigate and land basically non-visually, and I will make a video later on to demonstrate this. It's still kind of spooky, of course, but you know. Anti-skid, what have we got? Yeah, we sort of put it in anti-skid mode. Okay, so we can also access the TACAN. I'll just plug in the frequency, but we don't really need it for this mission. So TACANs are just 9 plus so 90 plus the number of waypoint 2, so they're all fairly well aligned, as with the frequencies, but remember they don't work. So for London, 93 X-ray. TACAN, 93 X-ray, on, transmit, receive, and you can see that they're co-located. So that's good and groovy. We really want to stay in waypoint mode, and I'll show you a really cool thing we can do. At least I think it's really cool. Alright, let's start turning back towards the base. So the way I land at London, and everyone's got their own method I suppose, but I do what's kind of like a mirrored case 1, where I come in sort of to the right, well, to the left of the field, wrap around and then come in and land. This is sort of like our upwind. Just watch what I'm doing. I'll try and talk less and fly more. Alright, run the range right in. So we'll stick ourselves in, we'll stay in nav mode because that gives us the best HUD markers for approaching and spotting the landing point. And then when we go to, once we have the field in sight, we can switch to VSTOL if you want. But I'm practicing using this gauge more because it's always there. So having designated the waypoint, thank you noisy car, we now have a diamond on our HUD and the arrow will point to it to guide us in. So as long as we're on this line and put our path marker on the point, we should be doing alright. Alright, London traffic, Tempest coming into land. So we're almost at beam the touchdown point. Now, people will often try and turn here, but with this base, give yourself plenty of time. I'm going to add some nozzles now, about to 40 degrees. And that'll give us a certain amount of, that'll give us a certain amount of flaps as well. Yeah, so 40 degrees of nozzles. And we'll start chopping power a bit to get ourselves lower and in position. So now I'm just flying to line up my track cue with the heading. Advancing to 60 on the nozzles. You may have noticed a key thing I forgot was checking the aircraft weight. If we're coming in for a vertical landing, we want to be below a certain threshold, but I think we should be alright. Yeah, we're fine for weight. It's really critical in the Hornet and the Tomcat. Alright, so I'm going to hold 60 right down to touchdown. And a slight overshoot, just using the HOTAS to put ourselves in close mode. Yeah, that's it, cool. So now, yeah, in nav mode, you get that diamond right on the touchdown point. And you can see we're actually offset slightly. So we'll come to the side a bit. Maybe it is. Maybe it is actually magnetic heading. Yeah, that's about a 6-degree error. I think it's... Yeah, leave it in magnetic. I'll fix the manual. Getting a bit wavy on the deck. That tree's a bit of a worry. And again, it's not the end of the world if you land a bit late with the Harrier and Viggen. They can easily decelerate. No gear. Jeez, go around. Okay, now the gear's down. We're going to be alright. Wow, that was silly of me. No landing gear. Yes, follow my tutorial. So, now I'm going to go nozzles to 98 and just gently add thrust. And that'll help slow us down a bit. So that's that. I'll just quickly show you in external view the last base, which is Paris, or Paris. Paris is in some ways easier in that it's well away from the action, but you know, it's like your last line really. Let's have a look, see. It is... That's the wrong one. Let's go here. Cool. Apparently those are English Viggens, so yeah, whoever made this mission has no idea what he's doing. So yeah, touchdown point, make sure you're avoiding the power lines, but otherwise it's a little bent, but otherwise it's okay to land at. I believe this base was discovered by Tractor, who I've flown with, so credit to him. Yeah, it's a good place to train, although I believe this has a crosswind. Yes, it does. Fairly brutal, so maybe a good place to practice crosswind landings, but yeah. Anyway, that's the road-based mission. Just a quick overview of how it'll look as you... I'll just get rid of my jet so I'm not going to careen off the runway or something. Yeah, sure. Spectators. Cool. Yeah, we haven't been hitting targets, and so you can see the ground units are steadily moving towards the bridges to cross in and take Georgia proper. So, yeah, your first priority should be knocking out bridges where you can, slowing and scattering these convoys and taking them out, but also keeping someone on a kind of cap, taking out air defense, aircraft as well. Having someone striking air defenses too. This is a great target for Viggen pilots with BK-90s or people using harms to pull apart air defenses. As you fly further into Abkhazia, air defenses get substantially worse. Here we've got SA-11, and up here near Sochi we have SA-10, so S-300. Couple of ships here guard the approaches, and we remove them in this playthrough, but there are man pads spread fairly far and wide. They've proliferated, so yeah, flares recommended. But that's the mission. Let me know what you think. This is a developing mission. It's been around for well over... We must be getting close to 2 years at this point, so give it a download, give it a play, and if you like it, let me know. If you don't, let me know too, and I'll fix it. Have fun, and thank you. Tempest out.